All right, welcome to 0 to 60 on the Believe Network. I'm your host, Matt McChesney. Bree Mason is behind the the great Oz curtain today, running the ones and twos. Without her, none of this goes. So big thanks to Bree for all she does. Like I said, I am Matt McChesney. This is 0 to 60. We are rolling on the Believe Network. Let's take care of some business right off the bat. Bet Online is your number one source for NBA, NHL playoffs this season. Every stat, every matchup, and every live odd while the game is being played is right there at your fingertips. Hell of a game last night between the Celtics and the Mavs. If you had Luka hitting a triple double, you're a pretty happy guy this morning. When the game's over, head on over to the online casino and get in on a game of blackjack or poker to unwind. Over 150 slot games. Head to the website today and get into the action. Don't forget to use the promo code BLEAV. That's BLEAV, all capitalized, for your 50% welcome bonus on your first deposit. Bet Online, the game starts here. Without them, we don't get to roll, and we like rolling. So big thanks to Bet Online and all they do. Excuse me. Remember to follow the show on YouTube and Twitch. Make sure you go over there and like and subscribe. Check out everything we do at 60 Academy, at all the different social media handles, Twitter, Instagram, TikTok. 60 Academy is rolling. Go check out the body bags at 60equipment.com and the Twitter page 60 Equipment. We just got a couple sold to Oklahoma and SMU. Valor Christian High School down the street just got a couple. So really excited about the future of that business and helping so many guys. The body bag does a great job of protecting so many people on the field, not only getting better. So we're rolling here, and we got a lot to talk about here today on the show, and we're going to keep it pretty much consistent with, just Colorado Buffaloes football and recruiting in the state of Colorado. A lot of the guys I work with, shockingly, I know, a lot of the guys I work with are absolutely blowing up out here on the national scene. Two of them just got offered by CU this weekend. Another one went to Nebraska's camp, got offered by Big Red. We've got a bunch of guys offered in the room. So we're going to talk about a lot of them today. A lot of them will be in the gym today and tomorrow as we continue the summer, and we're rolling. So we're going to try and inform everybody instead of just speculate. I watch a lot of these shows and a lot of podcasts talking about recruiting and whatnot. And, no offense to all the other shows, but that is strictly speculation on their end. I'm actually immersed in the recruiting game. This is what I do. So I know all the ins and outs. I know the kids, where they're going, what they're thinking. I know how the other schools recruit against Colorado. I know how Colorado recruits against them. So we're going to try and give you as much information today as we possibly can. Again, the super chats and the subs are open. So if you could, please get in there and contribute to Nick and Logan's shoe fund. That would be fantastic. We really appreciate all the support on YouTube and Twitch. So please, again, like, subscribe. Super chats and subs are rolling, and that's what we're doing on 0 to 60. So let's get into this. Over the weekend, and I just posted this on Twitter and a bunch of different shit, but over the weekend we had guys all over the country at camps. Okay. My son and I are going to be hitting up the camp circuit. We're actually trying to solidify everything tonight to figure out where we're going to go. But there's guys all over the country right now doing the camp thing, and it's very impressive. This is a great group we have in here this year. Big Zane, Zane got his first Power 4 the other day. Right there from the University of Colorado, went up and absolutely balled out at camp. The Loveland tight end stands about 6'6", 6'7", 260, runs about 4'6". And I told him straight, like, look, you go run 4'6" and blow away everybody at CU camp. I'll believe you're a tight end. He did it. I'm eating crow, and it tastes good. So Big Zane gets his first Power 4. Washington State had offered him. Washington State's a Power 4 school. They just had 1 year now where they're in the Mountain West. I hope they get picked up by a bigger conference, or they can turn the Pac-12 into something, that can at least be respected. But neither here nor there. Zane gets Colorado, and it's going to now drive more opportunity. He's on his way to Nebraska this weekend. That is, if he does what he can do, that's an offer. He goes to Kansas State and does what he can do, that's an offer. So, it's awesome when you get a kid in the room and he accepts the challenge. and goes to work, and then it pops off for him. So big ups to Zane and all that he accomplished this weekend. That's why we grind, big man. So damn proud of this kid. I'm going to be posting. I posted a great video of him on Twitter, but I'll post it just independently for him after this from Coach JB's show. And Bailey did a great job cutting that up. But it just shows you all the work and all the payoff, and then all of a sudden the pop. And now, you know, Zane's going to be a senior at Loveland, and the sky's truly the limit. And hopefully the University of Colorado can keep big man in state and not let him, you know, get plucked or purged by one of these other places. Because I'll tell you, CU really needs a tight end. We were talking about it this morning on Coach's show. They need a tight end to really complete that puzzle up there. Yes, they're going to have to restock everything next year, obviously, with so many guys going to the NFL and leaving. But you definitely are in the business of recruiting good players, and he's at Loveland High School right up the street, and he's a damn good one. You don't want to let him go. Okay, so next, Big Deacon Schmidt up at Windsor High School, going to be a junior. Deacon also had Washington State. I think he had CSU as well, you know, in his back pocket, but then goes to the University of Nebraska and absolutely kills it. All right. Coach Rule, Sattersfield, Coach Raiola, everybody fell in love with him. Look, Deacon's a brick shit house. He's a huge kid. And I told him right before he went, go be the first guy in line, bust everyone's ass. No one's your friend. This is a fucking business trip. And he went out there and put his best foot forward and absolutely killed it. Nebraska offers Big Deacon, going to be a junior at Windsor High School. Deacon stands about 6'5", 6'6", about 310 pounds. Really put together, you know, huge lower half, really long, moves really, really well, great hips. I think Deacon's a future professional if he stays healthy and does things correctly. You know, and now the first thing I did after Deacon got offered was reach out to Coach Riley at Kansas State, reach out to Coach Lodeholt at CU, amongst many others, Coach Moore up at Michigan, and we'll talk about them in a second with Breck. But, you know, that's the way this is done. It's a leverage game. So you don't want to lose a 6'6", 300-pound athlete that could play in the NFL that's at Windsor High School up the street to the University of Nebraska. If you're the University of Colorado, if you're Kansas State, you want to steal that kid. They took the big John Pastore kid. You know, Nebraska just took the big Landon Davidson kid out of Broomfield. He's a fucking animal. You don't want to lose him. You know, back in the day, Dalton Reisner got plucked by Kansas State. See, you missed on him. So I know that's way back in the day, but Dalton, you know, I was going through a bunch of shit when I was moving, and I found an old magazine of like the all Colorado teams. I think we're going to try and do it again this year and kind of revamp it. But, you know, it's the front cover is the all Colorado team, and Reisner's on it, and there's a picture of all the guys from back in the day. And I mean, the picture's crazy. If I actually, 2 seconds. La, 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 la. La, 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 la. Yeah, I'm probably not even going to be able to find it now, huh? It's a real fucking bummer, man. Is this the one? Is this the one? This is not the one. Fuck it. I can't find it. To hell with it, as the great Bob Uecker says. But look, I will find the picture eventually. But in the picture, it's like Christian McCaffrey and Reisner and Kalen Balazs and Sam Jones and Brody Westmoreland, the general who went and played basketball or baseball at San Diego State, and so many great players. And it's just takes you back to like the first gym. It's pretty crazy. So what I'm saying is there's a long lineage of fucking really good players in this state, and you can't let them leave. So, you know, Deacon now getting offered by Nebraska first. You hope CU gets in on that immediately. You don't want to wait and just see him in camp. That said, you know, Big Nick, my son's going to be at CU camp on June 19th. And I'm sure that there's going to be a bunch of other CU guys up there that day. Moving on, Reese Russell. And we don't have a thing for Reese here, but I'll just talk to you about him. Reese is only going to be a sophomore, dog, at Valor, okay? And his father, Matt, great friend of mine, won the Buckus at CU, was a draft pick by the Lions, has been immersed in the NFL world forever. His cousin Brady is on the active roster for the Seahawks up there in Seattle. He wore 38 at CU, played at Fossil Ridge High School. another great player out of Fossil Ridge, and Brady and Trey Zune, this big left tackle at A&M who's Dungeon family. And Gage Ginther went out of there, just went to Tennessee last year, another Dungeon family guy. Nate Chestine is a big offensive lineman up there at Fossil Ridge who's kind of, diamond in the rough right now, but another kid that's just got a ton of potential, and he comes from a factory up there. Yes, Zune and Ginther were both in my program for a long time, but Fossil Ridge does a great job. So my point is, Reese is a hell of a player. He's a guard center over at Valor High School, going to be a sophomore. He's got about 13 offers right now: West Virginia, Penn State, Nebraska, and there's so many other schools that are interested in him. Texas A&M offered him, so he's got SEC interest as well. I think Reese is going to be a 5-star player when he's a senior. I mean, he's a fucking animal. He's like-minded. He's mean. He works his ass off. I can't keep him out of the fucking room. So it's just, that's another kid, especially with the lineage behind him and being Matt Russell's son. You don't want to lose him. You don't want to let Nebraska off first. Colorado still hasn't offered him. So you'd hope that CU gets on Reese Russell immediately because he's definitely getting courted by everybody else. And when he walks in here, you can tell that it's something that aggravates him, especially because his dad won the fucking buckets up there. So Reese is as good as they come. Tanner Gray is a really, really good defensive end, quarterback, outside linebacker from Wellington out here, out east, and he drives like 3 hours round trip just to come to the gym on a daily basis. Tanner is a fucking stud of a player too. He's got offers from Washington State. Again, Coach Frank Malley and the guys over at Washington State, they just took Jackson Cowgirl. And Jackson went from Erie, and he went to Washington State. And then Mason, his brother, went to South Dakota with Brandon Crispy. And Crispy's a 6'8", 300-pound tackle going to USD. South Dakota and Coach Nady do a great job. But when you're looking at Washington State, Coach Frank Malley, their offensive or their outside linebacker coach, comes in here and just purges Colorado. They love the Colorado kids. They get on them quick. And that's where Max Borgi went and so many other good players. So, Washington State has come in and offer a bunch of these guys. Tanner is a really good-looking prospect, was just up at Wyoming killing it. I think that he's got unbelievable potential as a player. He's the kind of kid that, playing quarterback in high school gives him a different perspective as a pass rusher. Mike Bundy, thanks so much for the Super Chat donation there. We appreciate you. Can you explain what an offer means now? An offer means that they're being offered to go there and be paid to play football. I mean, that's what it is. You can say it's a scholarship, but shit, man, it's an opportunity to go get paid. The Power 4 schools have $20 million allotted to each school in order to pay their players, plus NIL. I've got a meeting tomorrow with Brett Coolidge and his parents to talk about signing with marketing firms. You can now get NIL deals in high school down in Florida. He goes to IMG down there. So there's so much money out here floating around for these kids, and damn it, they've earned it. It's why we grind, and it's awesome that they're now in a position to make some money. The earning potential for me, I wish I could have made money from 16 to 23 years old. That would have been fucking awesome. The NFL was cool, and I'm glad I got there and got my pension and shit, but still, you should be able to earn money, especially when everybody watching is buying tickets and jerseys and spending money. Watching you, they ain't watching the coaches. The coaches are watching us too. So keep that in mind. The offer is binding if you sign scholarship papers. I mean, you've got to ask if your offer is committable. There's a difference between group of 4 offers and group of 4 offers and Power 6 offers. The Power 6 offers, those other conferences, they're going to operate college football the way it used to be operated, on scholarship. If you get an NIL deal, cool. They're trying to keep kids from jumping to the Power 4 level. Power 4 schools are going to pay their players. You're a mercenary. There's going to be contracts coming up here soon where you're on a 3 or 4 year deal. You can't leave. I wouldn't be surprised soon if they can trade players. Like, that's going to be a sticky situation. How do you trade a guy who's in class? So that's the next part of this, how it continues to grow. We'll see what happens with all of that shit. But Tanner Gray, great player. We talked about Zane, Deacon, Reese, Tanner. Next is Brett Coolidge, and save the best for last. We'll talk about a lot of these other guys as we go into the summer and into the fall. I'm going to do a big roundtable with all of them here before everybody splits up and goes back home. Tomorrow at 1 p.m. on Twitch, we're going to have all these guys in here at the same time. That's a rarity. So that'll be a really, really, really great group you do not want to miss. But look, Brett Coolidge is the 4-star, 2B 5-star offensive lineman. He's a junior at IMG. He started as a freshman at Valor out here, had offers before he even went into high school. Right now, he's sitting at 31 offers. He just got home from his trip to Michigan. I mean, when he went to Michigan with Coach Moore and everybody else that's up there, we have a pipeline to go blue. And Drake Nugent won a natty with him last year. Reese Atterbury won a natty with him last year. Andrew Gentry won a natty with him last year. Let's see, Connor Jones from Palmer Ridge won a natty with him last year. Hayden Moore won a natty with him last year. Those are 5 Colorado kids, 4 of which that are our Dungeon family. So, it's the pipeline there continues. Breck loved it. He was fucking bouncing off the walls yesterday talking about Go Blue. When you walk in and one of the first things you see is Drake Nugent holding the national title, the national championship trophy, and big fucking cheese smile on his face, and Breck trains with him here. I mean, that's a pretty good sell. Breck also was reoffered by the University of Colorado at his visit earlier in the week last week. Jordan Seaton and Cash Cleveland are 2 guys he played at IMG with that are already up there. He played next to Jordan last year. Cash is a hell of a player as well. That's a great picture of him and Coach Lodeholt. Coach Lodeholt loves him, and it'd be awesome to try and keep Breck home. Breck is going to be the number 1 offensive lineman in the country when he's a senior. All right, he's got Alabama and Georgia and Texas and Nebraska and Colorado and Michigan, and I mean the fucking list goes Penn State, the list LSU, the list goes on and on and on and on. He's going to Tennessee and Georgia next week for their camps, and he's mean and he's athletic and he gives a shit. That kid started with me when he was in 7th grade. My son started with me when he was in 7th grade. Davis Moon started with me in 7th grade. I don't know if people remember this name, but in Colorado, you should. The Pierce family, Morgan and Eric. Morgan was as the older brother, great offensive lineman at CSU, played in the NFL for a while, battled some injuries. His brother, Eric, I played against both these guys in college, but Eric and I were the same class, and Eric is a fucking monster. He played for like 13 years in the league or something like that. Well, Eric's nephew, Morgan's son, Tate, is in here now, and Tate's 7th grader going into 8th grade, and he's a monster, and we just moved him up with the older guys. So I'm just watching the next generation take off. Pretty soon you're going to have a Pierce and a McChesney clashing heads again. Or maybe double teaming somebody on the same line of scrimmage together and moving some motherfuckers. So it's pretty awesome to see that in here these days. What we've built at 6-0 is a pretty special place. But, Big Nick, my son, is already starting at left guard for Mount Vista as a freshman. We haven't even really started training camp yet, and he's already in position to start. I already told him, do not give that fucking job back. And he looked at me and said, yes, sir. So that will never happen. He ain't giving it back. So get your mind right. Davis Moon is an outstanding freshman over at Valor High School. He was at Kansas State camp yesterday and Oklahoma camp. He is going to be a 20 offer guy as well. He's big. He's nasty. Nick and Moon played next to each other last year on the Prep Mountain Lions team, and they were just destroying people left and right. I've got some unbelievable clips of them double teaming guys 20 yards down the field, just dumping the fuck out of them. And we already talked about Tate on top of all these other young guys in here that are busting their ass on a daily basis to get better. You never know who it's going to be. But we've had so many cats start when they're 7th and 8th grade, and they just take off. And it's awesome to see them achieve their goals. And it's awesome to see the bridge being built for them and them walking it confidently. So the amount of dudes we put out in this room over the last 15 years going on now is insane. I have to sit back sometimes and kind of pinch myself and understand how many lives that we've really changed and how many people we've put out. And, there's a lot of hate out there, but it depends. It depends on how you look at it. The haters are just disgruntled, and we appreciate you. And the people that support, we can't do it without you. So it's pretty kick-ass, man. And we've got some really good players in the state of Colorado. And my goal here as the tip of the spear in the state of Colorado when it comes to recruiting and development, when it comes to college football and high school players, is to get them to stay here. I mean, I really I've been saying this for a long time, but one of these days I want to sit down and just do like I bet you I could put together 3 teams, top to bottom, of players that have left the state of Colorado or ended up playing somewhere else at the end of their career that are from here and from this gym that are either NFL guys or great college players that didn't go to CU or didn't finish there. And that sucks. You got to keep these kids home. You're never going to keep everyone, but you could build a fucking superstar team with some of the guys in the state of Colorado that they've let leave. And that's just out of this room. We're not even talking about the McCaffrey brothers and so many other dudes that have done it. So when you're talking about like the college football, moving forward into this new era, uh, before we move on here on the show, our good friends at Factor Meals, they bring you the rest of the football talk here on the show. We'll answer a couple of questions here in the comments. Anybody that has any questions based on what we just talked about, anything you guys want me to answer, I'll take about 5 to 8 minutes to Q&A here. But Factor does a great job to get 50% off your first box. Use the promo code there, Factor SE4832, I think. They do a great job of supporting the show, so check them out. And then also the 60 equipment. We'll play our commercial here for 60 equipment. Coach Matt Rule loves the bags and loves what they can do. So, Bree, if you could play the commercial real quick, and then we'll get into the rest of our Q&A.
This is Matt Rule over at Nebraska, man. I just want to take a moment to thank you for putting us on this 6-0 body bag, man. It's been an unbelievable tool for us. I get a lot of feedback, a lot of questions from coaches sometimes about, why we like it so much. And I think besides the safety of it, besides the width and girth of it, I think the thing that I like, especially as a former defensive line coach, is, there's 2 parts to playing defensive line and using your hands, as you know. Number one is building the strike and the punch to knock a 300-pounder back. And so obviously many times we'll use, like we use here, we'll use the sleds, but you don't have to time your punch on a sled. And so it's always been this juxtaposition of, hey, I'm going to work on the sled, I'm going to strike, so that I'm striking something with surface area and girth and some physicality to it. But at the same time, I want that shield to move. I want that bag to move, so I'm going to use a shield.
All right, so check out the 6-0 body bag, 6-0equipment.com. I'm going to answer this question here. I'm not sure what this dude's talking about. From Justin King, why aren't you speaking on the kids that CU are active recruiting? You're telling me you didn't see the post from CU. Bro, did you not watch the beginning of the show? They offered 2 of my guys. I already went over this. They are doing a good job in state. It's awesome to see them going after the right players. I think that they should really recruit Reese Russell hard. His dad won the Buckus there. Again, no one is insulting your boyfriend Prime. Chill out, man. I'm talking about all the players in the state of Colorado. They just got done offering 2 of them. They need to offer Deacon. They need to offer Reese. There's about 10 other kids that they need to look at. They are doing a good job. No one's disrespecting anybody. Jesus. Watch the entire show, dog. I mean, for the love of God, we already went over all this shit. Just jumping in and fucking black, just fucking spewing. So, any other questions or whatever, we can get in and talk about all of that. From Jalen Brown, question: as a previous college football player myself, how do you cope with not playing anymore, and what was your experience? Okay, so how do you cope with not playing anymore? It's hard, bro. I mean, you do something your whole life and you love it. It's gonna sting when it's over. I don't know how to cope with it. It hurts every day. It's like losing a family member, and I've done that too, and that's not fun. So I when I got done playing, the way that it happened and my body giving out on me, but also the embarrassment of having an off the field injury cost me my career. It's hard, bro. It's something that you're really probably never going to get over because you loved it and you gave it everything, I'm assuming. And, sometimes it just doesn't work, but everybody that plays has to deal with this. Even Tom Brady, even Peyton Manning, even Julius Peppers, even the greats. Like, those guys have all got to look at themselves in the mirror, and one day it's over. And then all of a sudden you're retired at 30 or 40 or 35 or 25 or 22. And all of a sudden what you've been doing your whole life, you can't do it anymore. So that's pretty tough. It's a hard sell. So all I'd say is lean on your ex teammates, lean on your family, be open with your struggle. It's okay. Other guys are in the same boat. I'm glad you asked the question because, to be honest with you, if we don't talk to each other, and because football players and most men are pretty closed off and don't really want to talk about feelings and shit, I know I'm one of them. If you don't talk about it, you're going to harbor it, and the harboring is probably going to end up being something negative, something bad happening that's not necessary. So it's a hard deal, but I think that if you're just open and you communicate and you understand that you really loved it, uh, and you can still respect it and honor it, you can go coach, you can give back. You don't have to stop being a football player just because you don't play anymore. You can still operate the same way. I'm still up at 5 a.m. I decided to parlay my career into a second career, which is helping the community I'm from and trying to turn hobby town into, grown man town so we can get things done correctly. And, you know, you don't have to stop playing. Just because you don't play anymore doesn't mean football is necessarily done with you. So, there's so many different opportunities. I'll use one of my guys, Jackson Block. Jackson Block played at Columbine High School, was an outstanding defensive end. Had a really fucked up shoulder injury when he got to college. And couldn't play anymore and went into the administrative side of things like scouting and front office stuff. And I'll let him announce it, but he called me about a week and a half ago, and he's in college football right now, but he's got some pretty big news when it comes to the NFL on deck. And those are the kind of phone calls that when he calls me and he's like, I couldn't have done it without you. You've always had my back, blah, 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 blah. That's just as good as when Phil Lindsay calls me and goes, hey, I was undrafted and people spited me, but I just made the fucking Pro Bowl. Or when Sam Jones from Arizona State and from 15 years old to the day he got drafted by the Broncos, when he gets drafted and I'm standing next to him and his family, and it's just like that moment of elation. That's why we fucking do this shit. So when Ryan Jensen signs a $100 million contract or $80 million contract with the Bucs and then wins a Super Bowl with Tom Brady, that's why we do this shit. He was my first client ever. That's incredible. When Connor McGovern signs a massive contract with the Jets that changes his life, that's why we do this shit. So, man, this Drake Nugent winning the Natty last year as a starter for Michigan, and all the other guys that were on that team. The flip side, the Washington players, having Rosengarten and Zach Henning on the other side, losing the national title and having to console them while I'm trying to celebrate with the other one. So it's this back and forth is why this place is so special. And I really think that the state of Colorado has a lot of talent in it and a lot of guys in it that can help multiple schools, obviously, but definitely the University of Colorado. They've got to keep quality players in the state. I mean, look, Trey Zoon started about 40 games straight for Texas A&M at left tackle. He's going to be a very high draft pick. He's from Fossil Ridge. Cole Taylor was second team All Big 12 last year at West Virginia. He's from Grand Junction, went to LSU. Like, it's there. You could build a monster team with just the guys in the state of Colorado. So, any other questions? We'd love to answer them for you. I'm not going to get in any arguments with anybody over comments or anything anymore. So, just understand that. I'm also not going to block you just because you want to get angry at me. Let's see here. Yeah, I agree. Hit the like button, like and subscribe, doing all that good shit. Let's see. Not really sure what that means, but okay. And I swear to God, some of you guys need to go back to English class. Q&A. We need a Coach Prime commercial with Coach Loadholt for the body bags. Is that possible? I actually have a body bag that I personally made for him. I'm going to go drop it off for him this week. So fingers crossed, bro. We'll go up there and see if that happens. I'm sure that all the prime sexuals are going to get super pissed off about it, but that's okay. Shit. Here's another one from Jesse Marion. If CU gets a pipeline of good O-line and D-line, they can dominate college football with Prime's ability to get skill players. Look out. Brother, I agree 100%, especially keeping Colorado kids home because there's a lot of pride in the state with guys that play here, me being one of them. So you can keep these monsters around. Like you have, just off the top of my head, 5 guys like Trey Zune and Cole Taylor at tight end, and you got Breck, and you got Brandon Deacon, and you've got Drake Nugent. You got just guys everywhere. That turns into a pretty incredible offensive line. Now they have Zelinkas. Zelinkas is their center, and he's a great player. That kid is a fucking stud out of Cherry Creek. I think that he's an absolute stud of a player. So they're trying. No one's saying they're not trying to make this happen. It's just, you can wish in one hand and shit in the other one to see which one fills up faster. They've got to go out. You got to go get Reese Russell and Deacon. Like, letting Reese Russell leave the state of Colorado is going to hurt my heart. He's only going to be a sophomore. He's already got 12 offers. His dad won the Buckus up there, and they're not even recruiting him. They're not like bringing him in. They don't talk to him actively. And that not only is an embarrassment because of everything Russ did up there, but his cousin played there, and his cousin Brady played there, and he's in the NFL right now too. So come on, baby. You got to get Reese, and then Deacon. Don't let Nebraska steal Deacon, please. They just offered him. Do not let this happen. From Jared, was Kevin Green your favorite player? He was one of them, bro. He was an absolute stud of a player. I loved Kevin Green. I loved the way he played. It was absolutely heartbreaking how he passed. We had Kyle Turley on last week. Go back and listen to that show. He actually brings up Kevin, and with Larry passing at 52. And man, it's heartbreaking to have that kind of stuff happen. So, there's a lot that plays into it and stuff I'm not going to get into right now. You can go listen to the Kyle Turley episode last week. A lot of different stuff was talked about in that show. So go check that out. But we talk about Kevin and we talk about Larry, and I love Kevin Green. That was a bad man. No one played harder than the Bay City Madman. What do I think about Joel Klatt's take on the chance we make the Big 12 championship? Well, first of all, that picture up there, right there, of the 4 of us, Bobby, Sam, me, and Joel from senior day, my senior year, or I think that was, I don't know what game it was, but my senior year, it's one of my favorite pictures ever. Joel's my brother, man, and I can't disagree with him. I want to see what they look like at North Dakota State before I just dive into they could win the Big 12 title. I think that they're going to be incredibly, incredibly competitive. Based on what I saw, there was this video leaked about pass rush, right? And they're rotating guys through, and pass rush is a defensive drill, and a lot of the defensive guys are winning. Some of the offensive guys look pretty good, but it's the way they look. Like, the offensive linemen are big and long, and they look lean and mean. And the defensive linemen are all running through the line, and they're good dip and good finish. That gives me a lot of security inside that they're actually figuring this out up front, because they mix, like we just said, the skill players with the bigs from a constructive manner, and you mix in the best quarterback in the country and Travis Hunter and Horn and all these other freaks. And the kid from Vanderbilt has the most catches in college football in the last 2 years. I think he's an animal draft pick. I think that they have the potential to do just what Joel said. Now you have to deal with Utah. You have to deal with Kansas State. You have to deal with Oklahoma State. You can't sleep on Leopold and Kansas. They are getting kind of overlooked here. He's a hell of a coach in Lawrence. We have to play them. You can't overlook Texas Tech. They just dumped a ton of money into that program and team. That's an old Big 12 rival. It is not easy to go to Lubbock and win. That place is bombed out like fucking Afghanistan. So you got to deal with them. The UCF game to Orlando is going to be tough. That's a long trip, but also It's Prime's return to Florida, so they're going to be jabbed up. We're going to be jived up. That's going to be a great atmosphere. Baylor's going to be better than they were last year. That team fluctuates. They go from like 1-11 to 11-1 and win the Big 12. So there's a lot of really good teams in the Big 12, and we're not even counting Arizona and Arizona State, BYU, West Virginia. They miss a lot of those teams. Derek Wolf and I are actually in the process of putting together like a CU Cincinnati party up there, maybe at Pasta J's or somewhere. So we'll go up there and do a show and interact with all the fans, and then go to the CU Cincinnati game. So that's going to be pretty fucking cool. I think that there's a lot of potential here, and I'm really, really excited about the season. I'm trying not to be overexcited about it, but at the same time, I feel like it's right to constructively criticize some of it, and it's not a bad thing to have questions that you need answered. So last year, the offensive line was atrociously terrible. They replaced a bunch of guys. They replaced the coach. They replaced the scheme. I love Coach Lodeholt. He's the man. It's good to see them really, going. They're investing in the kids in Colorado. I always think they can do better. They could offer all these kids, and I could still think they could do better. So it's not that I think that the kids can't play there or can play there. That's not my job. They have to determine that. Just evaluate correctly. I think that the University of Colorado next year, just looking at the schedule, I think worst is 6-6. I don't think they'll go worse than that. Minimum, they're in a bowl game. If Shador stays healthy, knock on wood, and Travis stays healthy, knock on wood. He got hurt last year. That playing both ways shit is no joke. If anybody can do it, it's him. He's maybe the best college football player I've ever seen. I think they could win 10, 11 games and be in a position to go to the playoff. I mean, fuck. So, look, man, so much of this, it fluctuates on. We just talked about the Big 12 schedule. We're not talking about, defending 1AA ass kickers North Dakota State coming into town with something to prove. That's just be ready to play, and you should take care of business. At Nebraska and at CSU, if you've never played in those games and all you've done is watched, I don't know how to tell you how contentious it is. It's the way it's supposed to be, and it's what I like. It's like fighting in an alley against people you hate. So going to Lincoln, that's going to be an absolute fucking war. We beat the shit out of them last year. I was in 101 talking mad shit. Now, I respect the fuck out of Nebraska. I don't like them very much, but I respect the shit out of them. I don't really respect CSU at all. I think you're a bunch of fuckboy veterinarians, and you have to put on one of those full length gloves and stick your hand up the ass of a camel in order to get your degree, and then pull it out, and then it smells like shit forever. So I don't really like CSU. I've never really liked CSU. I've got a lot of friends that are CSU ex-players and fans, and I don't really like them either. I think that there's a lot of potential in the first 3 weeks for this team to set 3 quality programs on fire and go into the Big 12 nationally ranked and ready to rock. They did that last year, I know, 3-0 going in nationally ranked and ready to rock. But it just then they lost 6 games by 1 score. So that being on a team when I was a freshman that lost 6 games by 1 score, the next year we won the Big 12 with pretty much the same team. Now they have a lot of people returning in Boulder, but it's not pretty much the same team. But they did experience that last year, and that pain of one score losses. I would rather lose by 50 than a fucking 1 score loss. A 1 score loss is ripping your fucking heart out of your chest. That shit is terrible. So I think that worst off again. I think they're 6-6. That's the worst I could see them doing, and I don't see that happening. Best probably 10-2, 9-3. If you can figure out a way to beat Kansas State and Oklahoma State, Oklahoma State's senior day, that's awesome. Ending with a Big 8 rival, and Oklahoma State's lost their rival in Oklahoma, so maybe they can just keep that game the last game of the season, and Oklahoma State Colorado can turn into a nice little rivalry game. Kansas State and CU is super contentious. That is a powerhouse program in the Big 12. We're going to have to deal with them. But if you look, and Utah, you win those 3 games. Or if I had to red letter back in the day, you red letter games, and there's like 5 games on this schedule you have to red letter though. Nebraska's a red letter game. CSU's a red letter game. Kansas State's a red letter game. Utah's definitely a red letter game, especially after last year losing in Salt Lake the way we did, with the refs pretty much stealing the game from us. And Oklahoma State on senior day is a red letter game. And Kansas is a huge game. And Texas Tech, like, there are no small fucking games. So, worst 6-6, best 10-2, probably 11-1 with the kind of elite players they have. That's doable. And then you get into the Big 12 title game, you get into the playoff, and fucking let the chips fall where they fall, and see what you can see. But even getting there would be incredible. So again, I'm going to reiterate this. I was a senior the last time we won a bowl game in Boulder in 2004. So I'm old and broke down, and apparently, judging by the experts in the comments, I don't know what I'm talking about. So yeah, I'd really like that streak to end, to say the least. So we really appreciate everybody on the old comment machine today. Everybody hating, everybody supporting. We appreciate you. You guys have yourself a great Monday afternoon. We will be back tomorrow at 10 a.m. On 0 to 60. We're going to try and go all week this week and figure it out. I got to give a shout out to my man, Andre Gerard. Andre Gerard just went into the Hall of Fame at CU, one of the best offensive linemen, if not the best offensive lineman I've ever played against. Great friend of mine. He's the O-line coach for the Brahmas, and they absolutely shit stomped St. Louis yesterday. Just drove them into the ground. They had like 200 and some odd yards rushing. It was a clinic. It was awesome to see the way they did things yesterday in the XFL or whatever conference title game. Next week, the Brahmas and the Stallions play in the title game. It was good football yesterday. I'm not just going to sit here and act like it wasn't. It was damn good football yesterday, and it was good to watch. So everybody, we really appreciate you. Thank you for all the folks that give back in the chat. Everybody hating, we appreciate you. Please come back tomorrow. Everybody supporting, we appreciate you. Please come back tomorrow. And as always, go Buffs.